Right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bokar Kadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem. In the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai, to the elders and apostles, where I give my high prophet, I say Shalom. And this is a prophecy updates as of November the 14th. Yeah, November the 14th, 2025 on this Friday. Yep, on this Friday morning. And yeah, I'm gonna get to these news articles as we continue to occupy prophecies. You know, it says Russia. Yep, it says for this news article. This is from November 14th, 2025. It reads, it says Russian military launches a fifth-long barrage in a week. Moscow is responding to the attacks, right, the Ukrainian attacks, which they did against civilians, according to the defense ministry. Right, so the tensions between Russia and Ukraine have been heating up ever since February of 2022 and always now. So that's another sign of wars and rumors of wars. So that's only going to continue to heat up. Which it says Matthew 24 chapter, wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. You know, it's going to add a side note to it. And seemed like Northern Kingdom. You had older, like it had to be like the older ladies had to be in like their 40s, 50s. Both of them was walking past with them because this guy, it's like the other Eve had walked past as well too. But I'll continue on. Yep, and it says Germany to end presidential treatment for Ukrainians. Why was that second the third chapter gonna have this between the Edomite nations? That's what we're seeing. So basically like a friend nation between the nations, especially we've been seeing between the United States and so that's all I'm saying. That's why it says in the third chapter, if a kingdom be divided civil that's what it says. It says Colombia. It says Colombia. Matter of fact, I read this news article. This is another sign of wars and rumors of wars. And then especially I would say in mid-August and all the way into now, this has been heating up down there in Latin America between the United States armies and Venezuela's armies, because you've been having the president of Colombia, I would say like for the second or third time, calling out the United States armies, calling out the president of the United States, and then the president of Trinidad called out the president of the United States as well too. So you got Trinidad, you got Colombia, you got Venezuela, all together calling out the president of the United States. So these are signs of wars and rumors of wars. I just want to add a side note to that, because I believe like a couple of weeks ago, you had, it was like 2.5 weeks ago, you had the United States had economic sanctions on the president over there in Colombia. So that's only going to stir up more tension between the nations. And this is, she a Northern Kingdom. I thought she was Edomite at first. But continue on. This is the book of continue on. This is from RT.com. This is from November 14, 2025 reads. It says the Colombian leader labels Trump as barbarian of the Peruvian strikes. It said Gustavo Petro said that the U.S. president actions didn't help stop the smuggling of the TRAFFR case, ERS. It says the Colombian president, it says has denounced the U.S. strikes on alleged cartel vessels in the Caribbean Sea as a Pentagon announcement as a new operation to fight the groups over there and down there in Latin America. It says Colombian has historically cooperated with the United States on security matters, because I believe, and that's the spirit too, I believe yesterday you had the cooperation between Colombia and the United States from military surveillance. I believe they cut ties with them ever since those recent attacks occurred. So these are signs of wars and rumors of wars. It says Colombia has historically cooperated with the United States on security matters, particularly dealing with Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro, the government, and fighting the trafficking. Although their policies align, has recently shown under a Pedro, a former MIA Marxist guerrilla, It says in an interview with NBC News, Petro does not mince words when criticizing the president. He says he is a barbarian. He called him as a barbarian. Hey, that's Esau. Hey, what the scripture says, the words were smoother than his heart. His words were smoother than butter, but what was in his heart? That's Psalm 51st chapter. That's the characteristic of the Edomite, you know. It says in an interview on CBS, in an interview of NBC News, Pedro did not mince words when criticizing U.S. President Donald Trump. He's a barbarian. He's a barbarian. It says Petro says in a Septuagint aired on Thursday, he wants to frighten us. He added. It says the Colombian president did not rule out in some vessels hit by the strikes, which linked to the groups. It says maybe. It says maybe or maybe not. It says we do not know. He said, adding, according to the press, a civilized treatment of people they should be seized and detained. I mean, yeah, he is right about that. So if they potentially might be smuggling in some into the country, at least you have some type of, at least you have both of them teaming up together. You know, with the Venezuelans Border Patrol and the United States Border Patrol, at least they teaming up together to, to detain the people that's on the boat. Potentially might be entering something into the country. At least if they do have something on that boat, at least detain them and prosecute them into that back to their country. But hey, you got this current administration. You got Pete Hegseth, that Edomite, right along with this current administration. They was like, no, we're gonna use airstrikes against them. So he was saying that at least you should have just like from the beginning before all this started. At least you would have had. At least you should have. Because the president Maduro, he said the same thing on Venezuela. He was saying the same thing. He was like, at least we could have worked together and see that we could have detained them and then prosecute them. And then send them back to where they, from their place where they from. If they supposedly smuggling into the country, supposedly, if that's true or not. But this current administration, they was like, no, we're gonna do it a different way. And if you get sending something into here, we're gonna automatically use drone strikes against you and missile strikes. And that's Esau for you. What's that? What you call that? Unrighteous decrees. And that's what you call unrighteous decrees right there. That's Esau. He's been blessed with the sword. Because his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Like I said, Psalm 51st chapter through verse 20 through verse 21. Yep, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Yep, it says a Colombian leader labeled Trump a barbarian over the Caribbean strikes. Yep, this is like the 13th time they use a strike once again. Because the latest one was yesterday. It had unalived like 4 people and injured others. So they're gonna continue to be doing that. That supposedly they're fought against the people that's smuggling, items that's coming to this country. So it used to be, so expect to see more tensions are only going to continue to heat up between the United States armies, the Venezuelan armies, the Colombian armies, and the Trinidad armies. They all teamed up together going against the United States armies, which they, but you had the United States armies been doing military exercise drills near the Caribbean Sea as they're getting closer and closer to Venezuela and over there. Just like just like 2.5 months ago, you had the F-16 jets was being deported over there to Puerto Rico. And so you had the Puerto Rican citizens over there. They was like, we don't want our country to be mobilized with the United States troops trying to halfway take over our island. It's already a United States territory as it is already. So we want to be left alone. We want to be sovereignty of our own island. That's what the United States doing. Just like you had Marco Rubio a couple months ago, I believe he said there's going to be some military deployment over there in Ecuador. So that shows you that it makes perfect sense as well too, because you already got escalations heating up over there in Peru, and over there in Ecuador. So there's a lot of activities going on down there in Latin America as of lately for the past 3.5 months. That's only going to continue to increase. But I just want to add a side into that. That's why it says in the Gospel of Luke 21 verse 25, there should be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth where stress of the nations. What places see where it's born, that's what we see. I just want to add a side note to that. It says Ukraine targeting Russian nuclear power plants amending frontline loss. Right, so these are signs of wars and rumors of wars. It says Russia military launched a fifth long-range barrage in a week. Right, so the tension between Russia and Ukraine is heating up on an everyday basis. And it says China threatens Japan over prime minister's Taiwan's comments. Right, because you've been seeing the tension been really heating up between China and Taiwan. Those tensions been heating up. And then what's been going on over there in the Korean Peninsula, you got South Korea, Japan, the United States going against North Korea. That been heating up as well too. So these are signs of wars or rumors of wars, just like it says in the Gospel of Matthew, the 3rd chapter. Yahushua says, you know, if a kingdom be divided, except the kingdom will stand. That's what we see. It says Ukraine group plots against high-ranking Russian officials throbbing. Right, so tensions are really heating up between the Russians and the Ukrainians. That's another sign of wars and rumors of wars building up on a daily basis. It says the militaries accused Rubio of underlining trust. Right, because I believe, what was that, a couple of weeks ago, you had Sudan, they had agreed to a trust with the United States, you know, for I would say like for a momentary pause, which is like a short term or something like that, because you have like humanitarian crisis going on over there in Sudan, which they've been going on for quite a while once again. Now you have the military groups accused Marco Rubio of underlining the trust agreement that they had with the United States like a couple of weeks ago, last time I checked. But I wouldn't be surprised if the people over there in Sudan turned away from the ceasefire agreement that the United States had over there in that area due to the heavy humanitarian crisis that have been taking place over there in the area. So expect to see those military groups, the military groups, going to continue to be clashing against their leaders over there. So you're still going to be having tensions heating up over there. So you're still going to have more humanitarian crisis, more heavy famines over there, and more seditions among those different organizations and factors over there in that over there in Sudan and South Sudan, throughout that whole region. You know, I just want to add a side note to that. It says the militaries accuse Rubio of underlying trust. It says Sudan crisis cannot be resolved through emotions or narrow political calculations. An advisor to the rapid support forces has said. It says a senior advisor to the Sudan rapidly support forces, the RFS, has warned that the recent comments by U.S. Senator Marco Rubio could be underlying an attempt to secure a humanitarian trust in a civil war has raged in African countries over 2 years. It says Rubio told reporters Wednesday that Washington was applying pressure on the relevant parties supplying weapons to the RSF, which have been battling the Sudanese army since April 2023. He condemned the humanitarian situation in Sudan as insists that militaries were receiving external assistance that must stop. Luke 21 verse 25, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth, and stretch of nations will be like the sea where it's growing. So that's what we're seeing on a daily basis.
Shalom. What's the sermon about today, man?
I'm doing a video recording because I just got the cheat sheet not too long ago. I'm doing a prophecy update. Yeah, what's going on in the world today? Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good weather gonna be for the next today and tomorrow too. That be enjoying
Today is Friday. What was the sermon about today, man?
About the prophecy updates. What's been because that was Spirit too. They was talking about this digital with this digital ID stuff. This Apple company, Apple, they had mentioned yesterday, they're gonna lean toward the digital ID. You know, especially like 6 months ago, like in early May, they had real ID in the United States. You know, that star, and they put on real IDs, like add more information, more verification of you. So that's what they're pushing for. I'm seeing, the digital ID, the digital wallet, the digital currency, the digital money. Because very soon, the printed dollar and paper dollar is going to take fast. You see what they did yesterday. They done away with the I'm like, why you want to do it? Yeah, everything's about to be digital. soon the perfect dollar is going to be, it's going to be useless. So we live into that direction.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, stick to your purpose, but at the same time, I know you got discernment, and I don't really think they know what Satan and Esau got their sleeves. But I know whatever they got their sleeves, all y'all was trying to plan. And what I mean is, example, you cut the food stamps up, it's not even enough. Strike one, strike two, we're all for a week. Kids gotta eat, man. So, strike three, partial. Esau, you're out. I mean, it's kind of like, man.
You see what they did to those
Right now,
now we're just not getting them back. They had to wait like 43 days just to get their first ever work check. If I was a federal worker, I'm like, man, I'm just basically doing work for nothing. I'm a federal worker. I was supposed to get my paycheck, Now I'm just not getting my back paycheck. Man, it's all over because I believe she part of the Trump administration. Oh, I'm going to send out like $10,000 bonus rewards because of the government shutdown. I'm like, y'all bogus as hell. Y'all do those federal workers like that. They had to wait like 43 days. That's almost, like almost a month and a half, almost 2 months. I'm like, they got to feed their kids too, They got to they got to pay their bills. They got to pay their mortgage. They got to pay their car note. They got to live in this world too. They just not going to go and work for free. Like you said, they just not open the government back up. The kids got to eat and stuff like that. That let you know they.
I was been saying that though. Some of the brothers, they were saying how, man, the Lord gonna take us up the clock. The Lord gonna have to where everybody on the Lord level. It's gonna be a time where they cherishing a piece of bread. Touching our faith. I believe Jesus was like, as they say in the Bible, Jesus was like, they were coming for him. And I guess one of the servants, one of the disciples, he was like, it was like, you're going to deceive me 3 times. And he's the boat. It's kind of like, man, you got to focus on the word, bro. If you don't focus on the word, then the Lord put a demon on the face. You got to focus on the word.
Oh, yeah, tell me why I was off the street over there. I think it was like sick and stuff like that. Sister was okay. She's like, no, I'm okay. And then she had get up. Like you were saying, like you got bruises.
At our age, bro, you know what I'm saying? It's very important to stay in prayer. That's very key. And I got that from the word too as well. It's gonna be hard, but you wanna stick to the strip, as they say.
Cast not thy presence, cast not thy Holy Spirit away from the Son. First chapter. If you ain't got that word, you bugging out. Even the people in that right now, they still be bugging out.
Don't forget about the higher self. Stand on your watch. With that being said, man, I'm going to take care of some business, man. Hopefully you do it, but not I'll see you again. Technology thing, I don't know what's going on with that, but it's good to see you, though.
I see you. I was looking out the window.
Hey, come on, come on.
I see you. I think like this last time. You was walking towards the house. I see you the day before yesterday. Yeah, but I see you had the skateboard in your backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, man. TV, man. Hey, man. We the media, how we outside. That's what the elders say. We the media, how we outside, man. Like, man. that's what you were saying. Prophecy. Anything other than the word is theoretical. And they know this, but they refuse to see. They wonder like why they mad, but that's a demon, bro. They wonder like why every time I'm trying to get a response from that person that I want, so I can do something to them, and they don't even know, bro. That's the Holy Spirit. I know you didn't got attacked. I didn't got attacked, bro. Man, I'm like, whatever God got us on this earth, oh man, they cannot stop us. You know, a woman that puts her hands on you, the man that puts his hands on you, and it's usually that time when he about to bless you, big time. And same people shake your hand, man. That's the type of spirit that's man private for sure. But we from Israel, man. We gonna stick to the script. That's where it's at, brother. End of the day.
Oh yeah. One thing I want to talk about there too. You had a young boy. He was first it was Kanye West. You know, after those comments, they were saying Kanye West and drug back and stuff like that. He was stuff all that. And then he was saying all that about the small house. You know, the Malachi Town. And then like a year or two later, now he came into this rabbi. He was holding his hand, had bending down to his knees, stuff like that, apologizing to him, stuff like that, to the small house community and all that. I was like, Kanye West, boy, God, man, he was bad on like that. And I was like, these the same people who took your heritage, took your culture, took your homeland, took everything about you, took millions out of you, just like they did Kanye.
You continue to give them your light and wonder why they keep taking it back. So if they ain't see the curses, we was telling them, bro, okay, you gonna see the curses, we cut them stamps. That's what the hell. Anything other than the word is theoretical.
Young Thug did the same thing. He came up to the rabbi asking him for a blessing. I'm like, bro, you asked a blessing from the Most High, not me.
Being mindful of uncertainty.
You ain't supposed to trust in man, you're supposed to trust in the Most High. Fuck you gonna go to a rabbi for asking him for a blessing.
You gotta know how to read. Oh, that's what other was saying. The best way to be in this truth is be by yourself. So you can focus on this truth. Man, that blew my mind. It was him and both the elders, him and the brother was together. It was walk and talk with TMS. I don't know if you've seen that one before. Still talking about this. Walk and talk with TMS. That's what the elder said. That's where to be in the truth, brother, be by yourself. And I'm like, why? And he told me why. So you can focus on the truth. I'm gonna leave you with that, brother. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings.
Right, get to some more news articles. Yeah, get to some more news articles. It says this is from the Morning Star, published 42 minutes ago. Yeah, that's it seemed like it loaded back up. I was trying to get to the news article. I guess it brings something to update. That's it. Yeah, get to back to some more news articles. It says, this is from the Foreign Policy. Because we've been seeing, tensions have been heating up between, tensions have been heating up for quite a while between the borders of India and Pakistan. And then the tensions between those proxy groups, organization factors of the armies from Pakistan and Afghanistan as well, too. Keep that in mind as well, too, because you've been having a recent class. And then you've been having a recent meeting between both sides from leaders from Afghanis and officials from Pakistan too. They came to agreement, a ceasefire like a couple weeks ago. and then they trying to do more talks because they've been having recent talks over there in Turkey and over there in Qatar as well too, and Doha as well too. Last time I checked, because these recent talks for the past couple of days ago, the talks haven't been successful. They haven't been progressed between Afghan and the Pakistani issue. Because you had one of the Taliban leaders who said that potentially, if they don't come to more ceasefire and more progress to have peace between both sides, he was saying that potentially it's going to be an increasing open war between these nations, which has been going on for quite a while, and as of recently as well too. So we're going to see how that plays out. So as it says again, I just want to add a side note to that. It said, this is from the foreign policy, and it reads, it says back-to-back blasts rock India and Pakistan. Right, it was a blast over there in New Delhi of India, I believe. And then it was a recent blast over there in Pakistan, I believe. Either Afghanistan or Pakistan. So these proxy wars, they trying to stop the progress of these deals. They trying to have a ceasefire to extend the ceasefire and the trust agreement between both sides. So we're going to see how that plays out. So that's another sign of wars or rumors of wars. It says Iran is accusing seized vessel in the Strait of Hormuz to water from the United Arab Emirates. It says, oh, that's something else. Stop here. It says, this is from ABC News. Let's keep this in mind, just like I said, with that second Edges 15 is fine, that the Heavenly Father is going to bring plagues upon the world, sword, famine, and destruction. That's only going to continue to increase. So we've been having these recent plagues been increasing, especially with this, I think it was like last week or something like that, a week and a half ago, we had some type of, I think it was some type of, what you call that, some type of pizza, Italian pizza or something like that. And it had to be recalled back because a lot of people was sick off of it, and it was part of Listeria. So we starting to see these Listeria outbreak, cholera outbreak, mpox outbreak, and different types of pest plagues that are increasing. So we're going to see more signs of that. And there was a news article that caught my attention yesterday. Last time I checked, I think within the last 25 years, this was the largest mpox outbreak, cholera outbreak over there in Congo. Last time I checked. Because at first, a couple months ago, they thought they had got rid of it and it started to make its comeback once again. Just like a couple of weeks ago, the United States mentioned the cholera outbreak, the mpox outbreak, the bird flu outbreak. It's starting to make its comeback once again, especially the Listeria outbreak, this bird flu. So these are the pests and plagues that Heavenly Father spoke about. That's why it says in our second address, the plagues is not going to be slack. It's not going to be going to slack. It's going to continue to go forth. I just want to add a sad note to that. And this is a news article. Hopefully I can be able to find it. I've seen it. It says Iran. Right, because they were saying something about one person was unalive, some type of disease that had been taking place. Let's keep this in mind here in the United States. A lot of food and items being recalled back. And it has a lot of Listeria in it. A lot of Listeria and type of pests and plagues are in it. And this is a news article from the Miami Herald. It says Iran tests emergency alerts amending war fears. Right, wars and rumors of wars. And keep this in mind because tensions been heating up between, throughout the years recently. Because tensions been heating up between Iran and the Israelis. Because you have Iran, they were saying that it was a report came out a couple of weeks ago that they're going to continue to building up their nuclear capability. And then a couple of months ago, like a month and a half ago, almost 2 months now, you had Russia. In Iran, they signed a nuclear plant deal, but the opposite side of that, the United States was so crazy about it is it's just a nuclear plant that they want to sign because Russia, I believe they're going to have more nuclear plants being developed over there in Iran as well too. Because Iran and Russia, they signed a deal with the ongoing tension that they have against the Western countries. So just in case of the United States armies and the Israelis armies, just in case they're going to use another potential nuclear strike against the Iranians because Iranian potentially is going to be building up their nuclear capability, and that's what the United States thinks. And you had one of the, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you had the Prime Minister of Iran saying that we're going to continue building up our nuclear capability. So that's something going to continue to increase. And so they was saying that they were standing up. The Prime Minister of Iran was standing up against the decide if you got another army of nation telling the United States what to do, you know the United States is going to respond back. Like, you can't tell us what to do. We are the United States, just like these other countries, saying the same thing. You know, if we was trying to tell you what to do with your country, y'all would automatically respond to that. Y'all would use nuclear threats against them. Y'all would use economic sanctions. You'll try to bomb them, try to take their resources. You know, so that's what the foreign minister of Iran was saying the United States cannot tell us what to do with our own country. Just like we cannot tell you what to do with your own country, you cannot tell us what to do in our own country. That's what the Prime Minister of Iran was saying. And it says, just want to add a side note to that. And this is a news article from the Miami Herald, and it reads, and this was published by Amir Darfarsti, if I pronounce his name right, for the Newsweek World, updated November 14th, 2025 at 11:50 a.m. and it reads, it says Iran tests emergency alerts amid war fears. It says Iran carried out a sweeping test of its mobile phone emergency warnings, right? Just like I would say like a couple of years ago, kind of similar to Japan. They was doing the same thing because just in case of Japan coming under a nuclear strike from North Korea, they have a way to like evacuate. Just like the same thing. Just like I would say one of the leaders of NATO over there in Sweden, they were saying that we'll have an emergency backup just in case we become an enemy threat from Russia or Belarus, kind of similar to that. It says Iran carried out a sweeping test of a mobile phone emergency warning system on Friday, issuing extra alerts to select users to the country's before mounting anxiety over the prospect of a broader regional war. Right, but that's the tension between the Israelis and the Iranians, which is going to heat up once again. It says since the 12-day war with Israel in June, Tehran has been openly preparing for multiple conflict scenarios. It says the highly visible test marks Iran's latest efforts to protect readiness and strengthening civilians and protectionists. For protection. It says a protectionist. Never heard that before. Nah, I guess that's something new I just came up with. That's bugged out. But anyway, it says protection measures as an officials continue warning that the regional has entered its increasingly perilous phase. It says that the Newsweek has contacted Iran foreign minister for a comment. It says why it matters. It says the exercise underscores that Iran puts the strengthening of emergency response systems after the June conflict exposed the major weaknesses in public authority and civilians' protection. It says the body drew in the United States, which carried out strikes on Iran's nuclear sites, reinforces Tehran believe that it must be warned to the public quickly if a future confrontation officials provide. It says that the communication is essential amid the risky of the geopolitical risk and a constrained threats of natural disasters by potential. Yeah, so that's another sign of wars and rumors of wars. Joel, the third chapter. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man. Not all the men of wars are all near, let them come up. And that's what we're seeing. So expect to see throughout the days progressing on, throughout the months. Throughout the days and months progressing on, we're going to be seeing these growing tensions only going to heat up between Iran and the Israelis because they look at each other as adversaries. Because you had Benjamin Netanyahu, I think he had interviewed like 3 times already for the past 2 and 3 months. He was saying he was seeing the increasing of Iran is going to create a nuclear capability. And he was saying that we're going to have to be ready for Iran once again. We're going to use a nuclear strike against them. The United States said the same thing. So, hey. And I believe it was a news article that came out as well too. It was like 2 or 3 days ago last time I checked. That you had this current Trump administration. They use economic sanctions. Anybody that was affiliated with the Iran of this nuclear capability that was affiliated with them. Because you had the IEA. The IEA, because they was doing evaluations of checking the nuclear testing of the potential of uranium nuclear capability in development, which they haven't did it for a couple months, as they asked for that to do that once again. And that comes with the last month that you had Iran has turned away and separated they developed their nuclear capability. It's like they used those nuclear strikes in early June, even though they had a ceasefire agreement. But ever since then, Iran been prepared. They're gonna be ready this time, and they're gonna have the pro-Iranian groups with them as well too. Just like a month and a half ago, there was a news article that was mentioning that Iran still supports their military groups because they still support them. So expect to see the pro-Iranian groups is going to continue supporting Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas and all that. So all the pro-Iranian groups, they still be going against the United States armies and the Israeli arms. All is going to lead up to the Third World War. So expect to see more tensions. It's only going to continue to increase over that Iraq and Syria, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, the Palestinian territory, throughout that whole region. All is still going to continue to stir up more tensions throughout that whole area. That's only going to lead up to the Third World War. Now, we understand, I think like in October, ever since the Trump administration signed that peace deal, what Apostle Paul mentioned was that 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction come upon them, as is very woman child and shall escape. So that's only going to lead up to the Third World War. So as it says, once again, Iran tests emergency alerts and many warfares. Right, Joel the 3rd chapter. What's that? Joel chapter 3, verse 9, since I mentioned that. Bring that out for edification's sake. It's like the same thing a couple years, 2.5 years back. Japan, they did the same thing. They have a emergency evacuation just in case they come on enemy threat from their allies. That's what we're seeing. It's like over there in Sweden too. And this is the prophet Joel. Yep, this is the prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Right, so let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man. It's like Iran had that evaluation emergency test just in case they come up under an enemy threat from most likely from the Israelis and the United States armies, which they're going to do another nuclear strike against the Iranians because Iran is going to continue building up their nuclear capability. And that goes right along with that Joel the 3rd chapter. Yep, Prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Right, so this is being proclaimed among the Gentiles and arms of nations. So on an everyday basis, all the way to now. So as the days progresses on, so you're still going to have these arms of nations are in that warlike mindset. So the Heavenly Father's going to make sure these arms of nations are in that warlike mindset. So that's only going to continue to increase, and that's what we're seeing. So this is being declared among the Gentiles and arms of nations, prepare war, wake up the mighty man. That all men of wars are here. So expect to see more military spending, more nuclear arms race, more nuclear testing, and more military spending, more military training, more military exercise drills, and more nuclear armed competition between the nations, just like Russia and the United States, as it did as of late last week. So that's all going to continue to increase. So that shows you that the state of the arms of the nation, they have warlike mindset, have show forth on an everyday basis. So we're going to have these economic wars, we're going to have these trade wars, we're going to have these nuclear wars. All is going to continue to increase, and that's what we're seeing. That's why it says in the book of Luke 21, verse 25, the Gospel of Luke 21, verse 25, Yahweh Shai mentioned, there shall be signs in the sun, in the moon, and the stars upon the earth. The distress of the nation will reflect sea where it's going. Jeremiah 51, verse 46, modern-day rule against modern ruler. Matthew 24 chapter. Wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Joel the 3rd chapter. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And that's what we're seeing. They being without Jehoshaphat, Armageddon, Armageddon. This is the prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 10. It says, beat your plowshares and swords and plunder them into spears, and let the weak sound strong. Right, just like North Korea, they're going to continue building up their nuclear capability. Just like Iran building up their nuclear capability. All these pro-Iranian groups building up their nuclear capability against the adversaries. We're seeing the military alliance, economical alliance between China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, despite the fact they've been having talks with the Western countries, but the tensions are only going to stir up. So that shows that the Heavenly Father will continue to put that warlike mindset of these arms of nations. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. As they're getting closer and closer to the God Jehoshaphat over there in Western Asia, Armageddon, Armageddon, that's what we're seeing. It says Joel chapter 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and swords and plunderers and the spears and let the weak sound strong. Right, let the weak sound strong. That's what it says. This is Revelations. And this is the book of Revelations 11 verse 14. The second world passport was third will come quickly. Right, so the second world passport, the third will come quickly. All get it one by one. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. This prophecy update as of November the 14th, 2025, on this Friday. So with that, hopefully this was edifying. As I mentioned once again, prophecy updates as of November the 14th, 2025. So with that, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakar Kodash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the Lashmar Kadash tongue, and I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, Akim Akwaf. Until next time, I will say Kwame Asherallah and the Ball Shalom.